Good morning, Devils fans. It is July 16th, and we're going to have a bit more of a somber episode today as we're going to discuss the passing of Bill MacMillan, the first GM and coach of the New Jersey Devils. Bill was 80 years old at the time of his passing, and for a little bit of history about him, he played 446 NHL games between the Maple Leafs, Atlanta Flames, and most importantly for the Devils, as an Islander. It was on those Islanders that he played and formed a friendship with the one and only Chico Resch. Eventually, he found his way to the Islanders coaching staff, where he won a cup in the 79-80 season. About a year later, he was named the coach and GM of the Colorado Rockies for a season, before that team was relocated, as we all know, to New Jersey in 1982, where MacMillan was both the coach and GM, being the first of each for the New Jersey Devils. At this time, there was a free agent out on the market that the New York Rangers were quite adamant about acquiring. However, thanks to that friendship that was formed as teammates back on the island, Chico Resch became a New Jersey Devil, and as most would say, the rest is history. Chico would go on to play 80 games in that inaugural season. Our top goal scorer was the captain, Don Lever, who put up 23 goals and 30 assists for 53 points that season. However, the most points on the team was by a 22-year-old named Aaron Broughton with 55. As happenstance would have it, Billy's brother Bob MacMillan played for the team as well, put up 19 goals, 29 assists, giving him the third most points on the team. So, while we had, a couple decent seasons from these guys, on the whole, the team did not perform all that great, as the record for that year was 17, 49, and 14, putting us at 5th place in the Patrick Division and thus missing playoffs. MacMillan would go on to coach another quarter of the following season, going 2-18 before being relieved of both his coaching and GM duties. The Devils would go on to finish once again 5th in the division that year and again missing playoffs. MacMillan was succeeded as coach by Tom McVie, which a lot more of you might be familiar with that name, and Max McNabb as our next GM. Obviously, those first season and a quarter of the New Jersey Devils were not the most promising, but we were a relocation team, and obviously had not yet had any of the big-name stars that would come into the organization in the seasons to follow. However, MacMillan's fingerprints on this org are going to be there and are still there today, as I'm not sure we could imagine this organization without Chico Resch. Played for years as our first goalie, and we all know the impact he has had, not just as a commentator throughout, so many seasons, still doing it now on the radio, but just being a face of the organization, all the different segments he would do, and really just pushing us to the forefront in the media sector with the weight of his name carried behind it. And we all love Chico, and again, could not imagine this organization without him. So we do send our condolences to the MacMillan family and friends, and wish them all the best in the coming days, months, and years ahead. The only real bit of news I did want to touch on this episode was that another Devil did sign a contract. Ty Smith received a 1-year, one-way, $775,000 contract, the same exact one that Bulkfist received from the Bruins. Last season, I do think Ty was a bit more of a cap casualty, more than anything, on Pittsburgh, as they were hitting the ceiling and literally could not afford to bring him up onto the roster to give him a full-time spot. So this year he has a one-way deal, which should basically guarantee him a spot on the starting roster, but the team will have 8 D-men with Ty, none of which are waiver exempt. So we'll see exactly how that works out for Ty. I'm sure he is going to outplay some of these guys, even if it's in a bottom role or being on that power play 2, running that for the team. So he definitely has a niche he will fill for them. We do wish him all the best. For those who haven't seen it on social media, he still does seem to be best friends with Jack, as he is hanging out with a group of hockey guys involving him, Jack, and a few other guys in that age range around the league. But this really did seem to be kind of similar to what I said to Bookvist, where Ty is betting on himself, probably looking for that cap to jump next season, and just see what kind of money he can earn himself after taking a cheap deal. More than likely, he could have gotten a little bit more if he made it a two-way contract, but being a one-way deal, he's guaranteed this sum no matter if he is sent down or otherwise. As I do think if he was sent on waivers, he probably is claimed, but I don't think that's a guarantee, as he didn't blow anyone away in his little bit of NHL time he did get, or with his AHL numbers as well. So that's really going to cover it for this Sunday morning. Hopefully, as we head into the next week, we get a bit more dominoes falling in the free agency area, a little bit more coming out about the Devils. I know there's going to be some media pieces coming out as well, so we'll be discussing all that as it happens. If the news continues to be slow, I might do a little bit more of a history dive, kind of what we started with this episode, and just kind of see where the week takes us as the content does or does not come in. That's going to do it for today, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of the end of your weekend, and I will see you all tomorrow morning. Let's go Devils.